All right, today we're going to tackle a concept that has totally changed the game for how modern companies think about their data. We're going to break down what a data lake actually is.
So let's start with a problem I think we've all felt at some point. You start with a nice, clean spreadsheet, but pretty soon, the data you're getting is just too big, it's coming in way too fast, and honestly, it's just too messy to fit into those neat little rows and columns. Well, that exact problem, but blown up to a massive global scale, is what kickstarted a whole revolution in how we manage data.
Okay, so to really get what a data lake is, we first have to take a step back and look at what everyone was using before it. The very structured, very orderly world of the data warehouse. Just think of a data warehouse like a carefully engineered reservoir, right? Before any drop of data was allowed inside, it had to be totally cleaned up, processed, and forced to fit a very specific, predefined structure. It's a concept called schema on write. Basically, you figure out the structure first. And you know what? It worked perfectly for predictable, organized data, things like sales numbers and customer info. And then, boom, the internet just completely changed everything. All of a sudden, companies were just drowning in this flood of totally new kinds of data that just would not fit in that neat reservoir. We're talking unstructured stuff. Social media posts, pictures, complicated log files from websites, endless streams of data from sensors. The old rigid system just couldn't keep up with the chaos. So this explosion of messy, wild, unstructured data, well, it needed a completely new kind of home. And that's where the data lake comes into the picture. At its heart, a data lake is pretty much what it sounds like. It's a huge central place where you can store unbelievable amounts of data. Now, the two most important words you need to remember here are raw and native format. It's like you just dump everything in exactly as you found it. No cleaning, no organizing up front, just get it in there. And this slide right here, it really lays out the core difference in philosophy. The warehouse is that filtered reservoir. The data lake is like a real, natural lake where all sorts of different streams just flow right in. The warehouse forces you to structure your data before you store it. That's schema on write. But the lake, it flips that on its head. You store everything first, and you only apply structure when you're actually ready to ask a question of the data. That's schema on read. And what that means is a lake can hold any kind of data, making it super flexible and absolutely perfect for exploration and for training modern AI. But, and this is a big but, all of that amazing flexibility, this power to just store everything, well, it comes with a pretty serious catch, a really dangerous one, actually. But before we get to this scary part, let's just take a moment to appreciate why everyone got so excited about this. Because data lakes can store everything. They are the fuel that powers modern machine learning and AI. They let data scientists just dive in and explore raw data without having a question in mind first. They can analyze huge streams of data from IoT devices, store every single log file for security, and do it all pretty cheaply. The potential is just incredible. So yeah, it sounds amazing. A total game changer, right? But what's the hidden danger here? What happens when you just dump everything into this massive lake without a plan? Well, that's when it turns into a data swamp. And this is the absolute nightmare scenario for any company. You end up with a data lake that's so messy, so poorly documented, and so full of questionable data that it becomes completely useless. You have all the data in the world, but you can't find anything, you can't trust anything, and you can't understand any of it.
And you know you're in a swamp when data just vanishes, when nobody knows what anything means anymore, and when the quality is a total mystery. And look, this isn't just some messy IT problem, it's a huge business failure. Can you imagine spending millions of dollars on all this infrastructure only to have your smartest people completely unable to find or trust any of the data? That's the multi-million-dollar problem of a data swamp.
Okay, so that's the scary part. But the good news is, it doesn't have to be this way. The swamp is not inevitable. You can absolutely avoid it if you have the right strategy and discipline. And this quote right here, it just nails it. The trick isn't to go back to the super strict, rigid rules of the old data warehouse. No. It's about finding that sweet spot, that perfect balance, adding just enough rules and processes to keep the lake clean and usable without killing the amazing flexibility that makes it so powerful. So how do you do that? Well, it really boils down to 3 key things that you have to get right from the very beginning. 1, you need a data catalog, a map, really, so everyone knows what data you have and what it all means.
2, you have to set up clear rules for who owns what data and who's responsible for it. And 3, you've got to organize things into zones, like a raw zone where everything first lands, and then maybe a curated zone for data that's been cleaned up and is ready for prime time. You know, this constant tug of war between we need flexibility and we need reliability. Well, that tension is what led to the next big thing in data architecture, an approach that really tries to give us the best of both worlds. And that new approach, the one that tries to have its cake and eat it too, well, it's called the data lakehouse. The concept is actually pretty simple, but it's really powerful. A data lakehouse tries to bring all the reliable, high-performance features of a data warehouse directly on top of the cheap, flexible storage of a data lake. So you get the structure and the consistency that you need without giving up the ability to store any kind of data you want. And the benefits here are pretty huge because you're not juggling a separate lake and warehouse, you have way less duplicated data, and you get rid of data going stale. That means your people are making decisions with better, more up-to-date information, which is a big deal. It just makes everything simpler and cheaper and lets you run both your cutting-edge AI projects and your normal business reports all from the same place. So when you boil it all down, what's the big idea here? The data lake, it's more than just technology. It's really a whole new philosophy. It's an admission that we can't always know today how our data will be valuable tomorrow. But that incredible power comes with a lot of responsibility. It's a tool that absolutely requires discipline, good governance, and a clear purpose if you want to keep it from turning into a swamp and unlock its true potential. And that really leaves us with one last kind of mind-blowing thought. Think about it. For the first time in history, we can actually afford to store everything. So the question is no longer what we can store. The real question is, with all of this information now at our fingertips, what are the new world-changing questions that we can finally answer? Ones we couldn't even dream of asking before?